A man goes into a baker's and asks for 2 bread rolls. The shopman picks them up with the tongs and puts them in a paper bag. He then asks for 2 cakes. The shopman picks them up with the tongs and puts them in the bag. The man says, "It's nice to see you don't handle the food." The shopman says, "Nothing in my shop is handled by human hand." He then noticed a piece of string hanging out of the shopman's trousers and asks, "What is that piece of string for?" The shopman says, "When I need a piss, I just pull on the string and it pops out." "That's okay," says the man. "But how do you put it back?" "That's no problem," says the shopman. "I just use the tongs." While shopping in this grocery store, 2 nuns happened to walk past the beer cooler. One said to the other, "Wouldn't a nice cold beer or 2 taste wonderful on a hot summer evening?" The second replied, "It would indeed, sister, but I'd feel uncomfortable buying beer. I'm sure it would cause a scene at the checkout." The first nun smiled and said, "I can handle that." She grabbed a 6-pack and marched to the register. The cashier looked stunned as the 2 nuns stepped up with the beer. "We use it to wash our hair," the nun said with a straight face. "It's a sort of shampoo." Without missing a beat, the cashier reached under the counter, tossed in a pack of pretzel sticks, and said, "The curlers are on the house." I came out of the chip shop with a meat and potato pie, large chips, mushy peas, and a jumbo sausage. A poor homeless man sitting there said, "I've not eaten for 2 days." I told him, "I wish I had your willpower." I took my biology exam last Friday. I was asked to name 2 things commonly found in cells. Apparently, blacks and Romanian gypsies was not the correct answer. A fat girl served me in McDonald's at lunchtime today. She said, "Sorry about the wait." I said, "Don't worry, dear. You might lose it eventually." In the forecast, the TV weather girl said she was expecting 8 inches tonight. I thought to myself, fat chance with a face like that. An Irish boy stands crying at the side of the road. A man asks him, "What's wrong?" The boy says, "My ma is dead." "Oh, bejasus," the man says. "Do you want me to call Father O'Reilly for you?" The boy replies, "No thanks, mister. Sex is the last thing on my mind at the moment." Years ago, it was suggested that an apple a day kept the doctor away. But since all the doctors are now Muslims, I've found that a bacon sandwich works better. Japanese scientists have created a camera with such an immensely fast shutter speed that it is now possible to take a photograph of a woman with her mouth shut. I had a trivia competition in the bag until the very last question, which I got wrong. The question was, where do women have the curliest hair? Apparently, the correct answer was Fiji. A woman has a medical at the doctor's. "You are grossly overweight," he says. "I want a second opinion," she exclaims. "Okay, you're bloody ugly as well." That should more or less cover everyone. So I was planning on going to Greece on holiday this summer. I call the hotel to make a reservation. The guy says it's a nice hotel, close to the beach, with a nice swimming pool, and that it's going to be 3,000 euros. I tell them that's a bit too much for my budget, and they say I can rent it for 60 euros per month if I don't want to buy it. A state police officer sees a car puttering along at 22 miles per hour. Sitting on the side of the highway waiting to catch speeding drivers, a state police officer sees a car puttering along at 22 miles per hour. He says to himself, "This driver is as dangerous as a speeder." He turns on his lights and pulls the driver over. Approaching the car, he realizes that there are 5 old ladies, 2 in the front seat and 3 in the back, eyes wide and white as ghosts. The driver, obviously confused, says to him, "Officer, I don't understand. I was doing exactly the speed limit. What seems to be the problem?" "Ma'am," the officer replies, "you weren't speeding, but you should know that driving slower than the speed limit can also be a danger to other drivers." "Slower than the speed limit?" she asked. "No, sir. I just kept the speed limit exactly 22 miles an hour, the old woman says a bit proudly. The state police officer, trying to contain a chuckle, explains to her that 22 was the route number, not the speed limit. A bit embarrassed, the woman grinned and thanked the officer for pointing out her error. But, before I let you go, ma'am, I have to ask, is everyone in this car okay? These women seem awfully shaken, and they haven't muttered a single peep this whole time, the officer asks. Oh, they'll be all right in a minute, officer. We just got off Route 119. A girl asks her mom, Mommy, how was I born? The mother smiled and replied, Once upon a time, me and your daddy decided to plant a wonderful little seed. Daddy put it in the earth and I took care of it every single day. After a while, the seed started to grow more and more leaves, and in a few months, it turned into a beautiful, healthy plant. So we took the plant, dried it, smoked it, and got so high that we f***ed without a condom. Harold and Edith had been married for 52 years, which meant they'd already run out of normal hobbies. So one afternoon, they spotted a big wooden fence with a bold red "Do Not Enter" sign. Edith's eyes lit up. Harold, give me a boost. You've got to be kidding. That sign is bigger than your bingo card. Exactly. Something good is back there. With plenty of grumbling, Harold laced his fingers together and hoisted her up. As Edith climbed, she whispered, Honestly, this is better than marriage counseling. Harold muttered, Counseling's cheaper than a hip replacement. Just as Edith swung her leg over, her skirt snagged the sign, and the whole thing ripped off and fell to the ground. Harold stared at the broken board. Great. Now it just says enter. You've ruined the mystery. A girl took her dog to the parlor for a haircut and asked what it would cost. Being told that it would cost her $50, she was outraged. I only pay $30 for my own haircut. The groomer replied, That may be true, but then you don't bite, do you? A nursery school teacher was delivering a station wagon full of kids home one day when a fire truck zoomed past. Sitting in the front seat of the fire truck was a Dalmatian dog. The children fell to discussing the dog's duties. They use him to keep crowds back, said one youngster. No, said another. He's just for good luck. A third child brought the argument to a close. They use the dogs, she said firmly, to find the fire hydrant. A police officer was investigating a collision on a narrow two-lane road where the drivers had nearly crashed head-on. One of the drivers, an elderly woman, kept repeating, He wouldn't let me have my half of the road. After gathering all the details, the officer marched over to the other driver, who was inspecting the damage to his car. That lady insists you wouldn't let her have her half of the road, the officer said. Why not? With a frustrated sigh, the man turned away from his wrecked vehicle and replied, Officer, I would have gladly given her half the road, if only she had decided which half she wanted. A travel agent was sitting at his desk when he noticed an elderly couple standing outside, gazing longingly at the posters of dream vacations in the shop window. They looked sweet and, honestly, a little heartbroken. The agent had just had a great week in business, so he felt a wave of kindness wash over him. He rushed outside, brought them in, and said, Listen, I know travel isn't easy on a pension, but I want to treat you both to a luxury vacation. My treat. No strings attached. Just say yes. Shocked, but thrilled, the couple accepted. The agent had his assistant book 2 plane tickets and a room at a beautiful 5-star resort. About a month later, the little old lady came back into the shop, smiling. How was the trip? The agent asked. Oh, it was just lovely. The flight was wonderful and the hotel was like something out of a dream, she said. I came to say thank you, but I do have one question. The agent raised an eyebrow. Sure. What is it? She leaned in and whispered, Who was that old man I had to share the room with? A man is walking home when he sees a dog buying meat for his owner. The man watches the dog when the butcher takes a little too much and growls at him until he gets the right amount. The man follows the dog and watches as the dog stands on two legs and helps an old lady across the street. Amazed, the man follows the dog home and watches the dog ring the doorbell. When the owner comes to the door, the owner takes the bags and tells the dog to stay in the front yard. Frustrated, the man goes up to the owner and yells, "This dog is amazing! He gets your groceries, makes sure you have the exact change, and helps old ladies across the street, and this is how you treat him." The owner replies, "I know, but this is the third time this week he left his keys." A man went to the doctor and said, "My wife's pregnant, but we haven't had sex in over a year. I don't understand it." The doctor said, "It's what we in the medical profession call a grudge pregnancy." The man asked, "What's a grudge pregnancy?" The doctor replied, "Well, somebody's obviously had it in for you." A woman walks into an accountant's office and tells him that she needs to file her tax returns. The accountant says, "Well, before we begin, I'll need to ask you a few questions." He gets her name, address, etc., and then asks, "What's your occupation?" "I'm a prostitute," she says. The accountant is somewhat taken aback and says, "Let's try to rephrase that." The woman says, "Okay, I'm a high-end call girl." "No, that still won't work. Try again." They both think for a minute. Then the woman says, "I'm an elite poultry farmer." The accountant asks, "Excuse my ignorance, but what does poultry farming have to do with being a prostitute?" "Well, believe it or not, I must have raised 1,000 cocks last year." "Poultry farmer it is then!" A woman was in bed with her lover when she heard her husband opening the front door. "Hurry," she said. "Stand in the corner." She rubbed baby oil all over him, then dusted him with talcum powder. "Don't move until I tell you," she said. "Pretend you're a statue." "What's this?" the husband inquired as he entered the room. "Oh, it's a statue," she replied. "The Smiths bought one, and I liked it, so I got one for us, too." No more was said, not even when they went to bed. Around 2 a.m., the husband got up, went to the kitchen, and returned with a sandwich and a beer. "Here, have this." He gives the sandwich and beer to the statue. Then he said to the statue, "I stood like that for 2 days at the Smith's house, and nobody offered me anything." Adam and Eve are wondering whether they are black or white. Eve says, "Why don't you go and ask God?" So Adam goes into the Garden of Eden and shouts out to God, "Are we black or white?" A big booming voice bellows out, "You are what you are." He immediately goes back to Eve and tells her that they are white. "How do you know?" asks Eve. "Because he said you are what you are," Adam replied. "Why does that mean we are white?" asked Eve. "Because if we were black, he would have said, 'You are what you are.'" One day, an old German shepherd starts chasing rabbits and before long discovers that he's lost. Wandering about, he notices a panther heading rapidly in his direction with the intention of having lunch. The old German shepherd thinks, Oh, I'm in deep trouble now." Noticing some bones on the ground close by, he immediately settles down to chew on the bones with his back to the approaching cat. Just as the panther is about to leap, the old German shepherd exclaims loudly, "Boy, that was one delicious panther. I wonder if there are any more around here." Hearing this, the young panther halts his attack in mid-strike. A look of terror comes over him, and he slinks away into the trees. "Phew!" says the panther. "That was close. That old German shepherd nearly had me." Meanwhile, a squirrel who had been watching the whole scene from a nearby tree figures he can put this knowledge to good use and trade it for protection from the panther. So, off he goes. The squirrel soon catches up with the panther, spills the beans, and strikes a deal for himself with the panther. The young panther is furious at being made a fool of and says, "Here, squirrel, hop on my back and see what's going to happen to that conniving canine." Now the old German shepherd sees the panther coming with the squirrel on his back and thinks, "What am I going to do now?" But instead of running, the dog sits down with his back to his attackers, pretending he hasn't seen them yet. And just when they get close enough to hear, The old German shepherd says, "Where's that squirrel? I sent him off an hour ago to bring me another panther." Moral of the story: don't mess with the old-timers. Age and skill always overcome youth and treachery. A young Irish man called Paddy wanted to buy a Christmas present for his new girlfriend. They hadn't been seeing each other for very long, and she lived in Donegal and he lived in Kerry. Paddy consulted with his sister and decided, after careful consideration, that a pair of good quality gloves would strike the right note, not too romantic and not too personal. Off he went with his sister to Marks and Spencer's, and they selected a dainty pair of quality fur-lined leather gloves. Paddy's sister bought a pair of sexy knickers for herself at the same time. Marks and Spencer's had a free gift wrap offer on, as it was Xmas. But the shop assistant mixed up the two items. The sister got the gloves, and Paddy unknowingly got the knickers. Good old Paddy sent off his gift-wrapped present in a parcel with the following letter. Dear Maggie, I chose these because I've noticed that you are not wearing any when we go out in the evenings. If it had not been for my sister, I would have chosen the long ones with the buttons, but she wears shorter ones, which are easier to remove. These are a very delicate shade, but the lady I bought them from showed me the pair she had been wearing for the past 3 weeks, and I hardly noticed any marks. I had her try yours on for me, and she looked really smart in them, even though they were a little bit tight on her. She also said that they rub against her ring, which helps keep it clean. In fact, she hasn't needed to wash it since she began wearing it. I wish I was there to put them on for you the first time, as no doubt many other hands will touch them before I have a chance to see you again. When you take them off, remember to blow into them a little bit, because they will be naturally a little damp from wearing. Just imagine how many times my lips will kiss them during the coming year. I hope you will wear them for me on our next date. All my love, Patrick. P.S. My mom tells me about the latest style is to wear them folded down with a little bit of fur showing. A man walks into a bar, notices a very large jar on the counter, and sees that it's filled to the brim with $10 bills. He guesses there must be at least $10,000 in it. He approaches the bartender and asks, "What's with the money in the jar?" "Well, you pay $10, and if you pass 3 tests, you get all the money in the jar and the keys to a brand new Ferrari." The man certainly isn't going to pass this up, so he asks, "What are the 3 tests?" "You have to pay first," says the bartender. "Those are the rules." So after thinking it over for a while, the man gives the bartender $10, which he stuffs into the jar. "Okay," says the bartender, "here's what you need to do. First, you have to drink a whole quart of tequila in 60 seconds or less, and you can't make a face while doing it. Second, there's a pit bull chained in the back with a bad tooth. You have to remove that tooth with your bare hands. Third, there's a 90-year-old lady upstairs who's never had sex. You have to take care of that problem." The man is stunned. "I know I paid my $10, but I'm not an idiot. I won't do it. You'd have to be nuts to drink a quart of tequila and then do all those other things." "Your call," says the bartender, "but your money stays where it is." As time goes on, the man has a few more drinks and finally says, "Where's the damn tequila?" He grabs the bottle with both hands and drinks it as fast as he can. Tears stream down both cheeks, but he doesn't make a face, and he drinks it in 58 seconds. Next, he staggers out the back door, where he sees the pit bull chained to a pole. Soon the people inside the bar hear loud growling, screaming, and sounds of a terrible fight. Then nothing but silence. Just when they think that the man surely must be dead, he staggers back into the bar. His clothes are ripped to shreds and he's bleeding from bites and gashes all over his body. He drunkenly says, "Now, where's that old woman with the bad tooth?" An elderly pope arrives in New York and is picked up at the airport by a limousine. Upon seeing the car, he gestures to the driver and says, "Could I ask you a favor?" The driver, astonished, replies, "A favor from the Pope? Of course, anything. Well, says the Pope, I don't get to drive much, and I'd love the chance to drive now. Would you let me take the wheel? The driver is taken aback. What if the Pope gets into an accident? But he feels he can't refuse His Holiness, so he reluctantly agrees and lets the Pope take the driver's seat. To his shock, the Pope starts the car, revs the engine, and speeds off, leaving a trail of rubber on the road. He zooms through the streets, well over 100 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. Soon, a police car pulls up beside them and signals for the limo to stop. The Pope slams on the brakes, coming to a screeching halt, with the police car following suit. The officer steps out, peers inside the limo, and then quickly steps back. He radios his sergeant. "Sir, I've got a situation." The sergeant replies, "What's the problem?" The officer hesitates. "Well, I pulled over this driver for speeding, but he's really important." "Important like the mayor?" asks the sergeant. "No, much more important than that." "The governor?" "Much more than that." "The president?" "Even more important than him." The sergeant, confused, asks, "Who's more important than the president?" The officer responds, "I'm not sure, Sarge, but he has the Pope driving for him." A guy walks into a bar, looks around, and notices an older man sitting at a nearby table. He says to the bartender, "A round on me for everyone here, except for that old guy over there." As the drinks are handed out, he looks over at the old man with a smug grin. To his surprise, the old man nods and smiles warmly back. Confused, the guy orders another round for everyone again, except for the old man. And this time, he insists on only the top-shelf stuff. Yet again, the old man smiles, even bigger than before. Frustrated, the guy turns to the bartender and asks, "What's with that guy? Is he clueless or what?" The bartender chuckles and replies, "Oh, no, sir. That gentleman happens to be my boss and the owner of the bar."